Yeah, yeah, I edit.
Should I look at the blanking light or what?
You can look at anything you want. Well, hi, this is a interview with my mother, who's going to be answering a few questions as we go along here. Hi, Mom.
Hello, Steve.
Well, tell us your name, last name, middle name, and any nicknames that you had.
Mary Elizabeth McGinnis Kroeger. Nicknames, Mary Mick when I was a kid.
Did Dad have any nicknames for you?
Before we were married, he called me McGoonis instead of McGinnis. That tells you what he thought.
When and where were you born?
I was born in Cincinnati, in August of 1924. That made me say 2000.
Be a babe.
Yeah.
How tall are you? What color are your eyes? And what about your hair?
Well, that's gone under a few changes. But I'm 5'6", and my eyes are brown. They don't change. But my hair is now gray. Used to be very dark. But now it's, you see what it is.
Do you have brothers and sisters? Their names, and how old are they now?
Okay, I have a brother, Mac. John Carroll is his name. And he was just 80. And then I have a sister, Patricia. She's, she was born in 1937 during the flood. So that would make her 71. Okay.
When did you get married? And what was your spouse's name? And where and when was he born?
I got married in September 1946 and married to Doug Kroeger, and he was born January 16th, 1921.
What schools did you go to?
I went to St. Augustine's grade school in Covington and Notre Dame Academy in Covington. It was an all-girls high school, still in operation, and grown very much since I was there. And then I took some courses here and there. I went to Xavier University a couple of times at night, and that was about it.
Any special interests while you were in school?
I think mainly I was interested in sewing. I really was anxious to learn to sew, and I started, Mother showed me how to do basic things when I was about in the 7th grade, and then I studied it in high school, and I couldn't wait to get there to get to the sewing machine. So I've made that a big part of my life.
Does anyone stand out in particular about who taught you the most about sewing?
Sister Morella. She was the loveliest nun, and she was teaching us how to put a zipper in, and I could not get it. It was very difficult because it was different from the way they do it today. And I was in tears over it, and I thought, I can't do this. This is it. I'm not going to do this anymore. And when I came into that sewing room the next day, she had put the zipper in for me overnight. And I never have forgotten her for that. And I went on from there then.
What was your childhood home like, your neighborhood, or your little town that you lived in?
Oh, we lived in Covington on Euclid Avenue when I was small. And it was a little house, and it was nice, and it was a very nice neighborhood, and the kids all played a lot together. And it was just nice. And there was a swimming pool. We could walk to the swimming pool, which was about 2-3 blocks away. And school was close, 2 blocks to school. Small cities blocks, So it was nice there. Yeah, nice memories from that.
Would you consider these some of your happiest times of your childhood?
Yeah, I would.
Any particular memories stand out?
No, just the way we all got along and get through it. We went through the Depression there and the 37 flood. So there are some bad memories too, but you know, we took them in stride. What could you do?
How did you first meet your spouse? What were your first impressions of him? And can you provide some details?
Well, I met him. We always went out in groups, and there were about 5 young men, and their dates. And I, of course, was not with Doug at the time. I was with another young man, one of my schoolmates from grade school, in fact. And I thought he was about the funniest person I ever met. And he had us all laughing all evening, and I thought, oh, he's fun to be with, you know. And he was cute besides. So we had a chance to, we had like a Sadie Hawkins dance at school where we were allowed to invite your partner, and I asked Mother, do you think it would be all right if I'd ask Doug Kroeger? She said, I don't know why not. So I did, and he said yes. So that was our first date. Well, no, it wasn't really, because before the dance came up, he called me and asked me to go. I went to a movie or something, and I was real happy about that. So,
Do you think you and your spouse were in love from the start, or did the relationship take time?
didn't take much time. I was really impressed with him.
Can you remember any moments or stories that strike you as either funny or entertaining about any of those times?
No, we did really have a good time. And I really didn't want to date other people, and my parents had a fit because I was too young. And Doug was almost 4 years older than I was, and that was another stumbling block. And of course, as I look back, they were right, but I didn't think so at the time. So eventually we broke off, and that was it. I thought they were having a fit because I was going out with him exclusively, and they thought it would be too serious, so I decided, this is it. We're not going together anymore. Well, then, this was during the war, and then he joined the Air Force, and I didn't see him for 2 years. And then one night he called me and he said, could he come and see me? And I was so surprised after that length of time. And I went to the door and he stood there in his uniform. Well, that's all it took.
You had 4 children.
Yes.
4 boys.
Yes.
And what was that like, being faced with raising children? Did you feel prepared, or how did you figure all that out?
Well, you can never be prepared for that, I'll tell you, no matter what you do ahead of time. But anyway, it's a wonderful experience, and I sure wouldn't trade it for anything. It's the best part of my life.
Were there any of these circumstances during any of the births that were of concern or of
No, they were all
memory?
pretty normal births.
You all, your family didn't take a lot of formal vacations,
Mm-hmm.
traditional vacations that people would refer to. We all jump in a car and go somewhere, but you all had a slightly different understanding of what a vacation was. But what was that like? What did you all do for vacation?
Well, when I was young, when my daddy had his vacation, we would just do local things. You know, we'd go to Coney Island, or we'd go to the zoo and whatever, take a picnic out or something like that. It was just nice not to have to get up every morning and go to work, and that's almost the way it was for me too as I married.
You had pets as a child?
We had we'd had a dog. We always had a dog. Yeah.
Do you remember the names of the pets?
Yeah. The first one was Snooky, and she was a fox terrier. And then she had a very friendly relationship with the dog next door one time. And then we had 3 little puppies, and they were part of her, you know, her heritage, Fox Terrier and Airedale. So the art needlework department, and that was a good place for me to work because I kind of had embroidered in my life, and when I was little, Mother taught me to embroider. So I enjoyed that very much.
Of all the jobs you had, what was your least favorite job? Do you have one that was a worst job?
No, I don't think so. After I came out of high school, I went to work at the Williamson Heater Company, and I worked with them for a couple of years, and then they moved out to Oakley, and it was such a terrible trip on streetcars and buses. And then I got a job in downtown Cincinnati at the Union Central Life Insurance, and I worked there until I was married. And then Doug didn't want me to work anymore, so I stayed home.
And talk a little bit about that. How did you feel about? Did you have any regrets about not being able to work after you got married? It would have made
us easy. It would have made things easier for us financially a little bit. You know, I didn't ever have a great big salary, but every little bit counted in those days. And but you know, I was satisfied to manage what we had.
Other than family, who would be some of the more important people in your life?
Well, I have to put Helen at the top of that list. And she was a wonderful friend always, and we had lots of good times together. And then my friend Mary Volner. She's so good. I really enjoy her friendship. And I know a lot of very nice people, but those are the two that come to mind.
What makes you laugh?
Almost anything. I have to think part of it's funny.
Talk about your favorite book or author.
My favorite book has to be The Winter Solstice. And that was written by Rosamund Pilcher, and she's a Scottish writer, and she wrote wonderful stories. I have read that book 3 or 4 times. I could read it again. It's so good.
What is it about her writing you think that makes it your favorite author?
I don't know. It's just her descriptions and her characters. They come to life for you, and you feel like you're living that book, you know. And it takes place in Scotland, and it's just wonderful. She wrote 4 major novels, but a lot of small books, and they're all wonderful, in my opinion. She's still living.
Talking to your children, you're a well-known baker. Talk about some of your favorite things that you like to cook in terms of baking.
Baking, I love to make apple pie, and apple coffee cake, I like to make that. That's good. And I always love to make cakes and cookies. I made thousands of cookies, I think, in my lifetime.
Do you think the apple coffee cake is your favorite all
I
time?
think it is.
And
I love that.
do we all have recipes for that?
I think you do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What couldn't you live without?
My telephone.
How come?
Oh, it keeps me in contact with everybody. How else would I know what's going on?
Talk about your most treasured personal possession.
I'm not a person that treasures much of anything, you know, but I have to think it's my engagement ring. I loved it from the start, and I still enjoy wearing it.
Is there anything you have always wanted to do but never did?
Oh, yeah. I always wanted a screened-in back porch, and we never did it, and that's what I regret now, but it's okay.
What do you think a screened-in back porch would have given you that you don't have?
I don't know. I hate bugs, for one thing. You know that. And I would have liked to gone out there and just enjoyed being out there in the evening in the summer. It's shady back there. It would have been a nice thing to do, but we didn't get around to that somehow. Well, we had somebody come and see about it one time, and he told me it would kill the tree. Well, I guess I love that tree more than I love the porch. So we still have the tree.
What were the best years of your life?
Now. Yep.
Initially, you talked about maybe sometime between your 30s and 50s, but
Well, those were wonderful years for your physical abilities, I would say. But every day is precious. And I'm just thankful that I'm alive this long and able to enjoy things. That's a great blessing.
do you think it would surprise people to hear you say that at 84, this is the best year of your life? Or why is that? Why do you think this is the best, one of the best?
What's so great about it, huh?
Mhm.
Well, I have to be thankful for my health, my good health, and my ability to get around. And I have good friends. I've lost a lot of good friends, but I still have good friends. And I have my wonderful family. I love every one of them, everyone.
What are you most proud of?
My sons. And my grandchildren, they're all neat.
What would be the final words or your epitaph or the first thing that people want to remember about you?
Keep smiling.
And what sorts of advice do you think you'll have for your grandchildren?
For my grandchildren, oh my. Always be honest with yourself. And don't try to be somebody you're not. And you get along better that way, always facing the truth.
Do you have any advice for people in general?
Who am I to give everybody advice? They could give me some.
And do you have some hopes for the future?
Some hopes for the future. Just to remain able to take care of myself as long as possible. And never to be a terrible worry or burden to any of my children.
Any final thoughts or stories that you want to, as we close here?
Stories?
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell me want me to tell you the story about falling out of the church?
Oh yeah, you might as well end with that one.
Well, it just happened last week, and I made it fine out of down the steps, and I got to that walkway, and all of a sudden I was on a tear, and I stumbled, and the farther I went, the faster I was going, and I landed in the yard, and thank heavens it had recently been plowed up, and it was nice and soft, so I didn't hurt myself, and there were a lot of people around to help me, and when I came home, my hat was on. Silly. And I spent the next half hour laughing about it. So I told the lady